Ethereum symbol ETH versus the dollar. Do general overview on this one, and short-term time frames looking like we are going to play on that short-term upside move that we spoke about, I think, from earlier on this stream. And I would be looking for this one to pop back up at least short-term, like 3350 to 3360. Preferably, I'd like to see this one around 3400. Now, keep in mind, this one is still, in a bit of a downtrend right here. We do see lower highs on the 4-hour, and that'll be consistent as long as we're especially below about 3440. That also does imply if this thing can start to close 4-hour dildos above there, even if it closes 4-hour dildos above the 55 here, which is about 20 bucks lower, I would be looking at this as an early indication that we are within the midst of a trap, as we spoke about on Bitcoin as well. If it does start to clear that region, I'd look for a lovely test all the way up just south of 3600, and then at that point, I mean, this is a confirmed local low, and it's not just confirmed local low, it's a confirmed higher low. We do have hidden bullish evidence right here, and BBWP, our volatility indicator, is expanding as well. So we have trend, volatility, and momentum, and I'll be looking at a move probably around, dare I say, the prior highs in this case. This would still look fine, and again, make no mistake about it. Ethereum just played out a correction down to the 10 simple on the weekly. Yes, it's a massive range. Yes, this one trades, phenomenally big, but keep in mind as well, we also did close on new all-time highs last week here too. So I'm never going to be bearish on something like that at first pass, but I should come up with some validation points on the other side, obviously. And where would that be? This one's actually incredibly simple right here. Anywhere well, I guess I don't even have it marked off right here. Anywhere below 3200 on a 4-hour total closure, yes, I would call this one broken to the downside, and I'd be expecting at the very least another test back down short term just below 3100. At that point, I'd probably be looking for a bit of a short term bounce there, and then continuation much lower towards 29 or so before the next medium term bounce. But for right now, I do think this one's actually showing okay. Let's go check out momentum oscillators here as well. Will very likely bounce with Bitcoin, but Bitcoin's easier to kind of manage right now and easier to watch. Looks like it did just reject off of 45.8 or so very, very quickly, so that's not a good sign. But 4-hour Stokes for Ethereum right here will actually cross back onto the upside with any sort of closure above 3190. That looks rather likely right now, barring any sort of major catastrophe short term. Hourly will be down if we do close below 33. And there it goes. It lost it. And there it goes, and there it's gone. And daily will actually cross back up with any sort of closure above 3440. So still has a lot of work to do, obviously, here. And it looks like, is that our next lower high right here? Could be. If this is our next lower high, I would be looking for that next swipe to the downside of 3200. Very likely a bounce there and then come back to it after that. But for what it's worth, we do have a drive of bullish evidence come off the lows right now. You could argue that that's already pretty much played out, to be fair. What does a 12-hour say? 12-hour still looks a little bit like a local low to me as well, and 2-day looks like a bounce off the 21. I'm more inclined to say that this is very likely to be a local low right here. It's not necessarily confirmed on a 2-day, but we would have hidden bullish evidence if it does confirm there. So how would you confirm this on a 2-day? Either pop back above yesterday's high, which is 3472, or close a 2-day dildo above about 3400. If one of those two things can happen, obviously the 4-hour is probably going to play into that beforehand anyways, then I would be calling this one, basically the next higher low in a series of macro higher lows, and very likely continuation onwards and upwards. But for right now, a little bit under pressure here. I really want to see the jewel get a nice long signal. Until that happens, though, this one is a bit risky, to be fair. And judging by Bitcoin's short-term rejection, that is not the most confidence-inducing for a short-term continuation move on this one. But for right now, I'd still be looking at this as structure right here on the hourly. And if you do see an hourly closure below about 3270 or so, then I probably would front run a bit of a short-term move back down to about 3200, and then we get to play the game of, is this going to be the break or not? Again, probably easier to watch Bitcoin, but as long as Bitcoin keeps up, I imagine Ethereum does keep the lights on here. Is there anything else that I want to check out? Maybe over here. I always like to remind myself on Ethereum where we're at in the macro scale. If we go to a monthly, this is not necessarily a bearish setup right here. This is just a bit of correction, and to be expected when you do test around the top side of the Bollinger Band. Bi-monthly obviously closed above it last month, coming into September, and that's, again, relatively good. And the quarterly, which will be closing at the end of this month, as long as it closes above that 2300, that is 2300, that is ridiculous. Then we will actually be trending above the top side Bollinger Band as well. So I'm inclined to say this one probably does pull through, but easier to watch Bitcoin, and we probably should get this one, or we probably should have clear on this one probably today, if I had to guess. So keep your eyes on those main levels right there. Again, 3440 is the big one to watch in my opinion, and above there, I'd probably start to front run a move probably all the way up. I'd say at the very least to 3700. Let's actually see what the fibs would say in this case. Big area right around 36.50 actually, so a little bit under there. That would be where I'd be looking for potential lower highs. If you do see a lower high somewhere around 36.50, any sort of weakness around there, bearish divergence on even like a medium-term time frame, at that point I probably would say this one is going to end up being your lower high, and we probably will end up trending down. But for right now, give it the benefit of the doubt. Again, keep your eyes on about 34.40, and that's kind of the big one for me. Until then, it's just a bit of a ranging market, big risk and invalidation below 3,200. And hopefully that was helpful. There you go. Nice.